Welcome to Series 3 of Healthy Cooking at Cuyahoga Community College. Today we are doing a series of 3 videos, and with me today for the first segment is Chef Andy, part of the Hospitality Management Program. When we determine what topics to use, we do a little bit of research to determine what are the hot nutrition topics of the day. And for this particular series, we're going to look at gluten-free, how to cook gluten-free, one of the precautions of cooking gluten-free. That certainly came up as one of the high priorities this year. We're also going to once again look at healthy cooking for heart disease prevention and controlling hypertension. Over and over, we see the same studies proving that individuals who have high fruit and vegetables in their diet, adding a little bit of nuts and eating lean meats can actually prevent and control those chronic diseases. This particular segment is on heart healthy. We want to talk about increasing vegetables in your diet, a different way to do some vegetables, and we want to look at turkey tenders. Turkey used to be, you ate it once, twice a year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you had a choice of turkeys. You could buy a big turkey or you could buy a bigger turkey. Now we can buy turkey meat at any time, in any shape, turkey breast, turkey drumsticks, turkey burgers. And so we want to talk to you a little bit today, and Chef Andy has some really good recipes, quick and easy recipes that demonstrate how you can include some turkey into your weekly menus. So, Chef Andy, let us get started. These are turkey tenders?
Correct.
Okay, and what are you going to do with those turkey tenders?
Well, everybody loves roast turkey. Unfortunately, you have to cook a huge turkey all the time. These are, as you can see, pretty small. They're portion controlled, basically. So these are the inside of the breasts, and they call them tenderloins for a reason, because they're very tender. So what we're going to do first is season them up, then we're going to sear them in a pan, and then we're going to actually put them in the oven and finish. These are very quick to do, unlike the large turkeys, and it can be done strictly like a chicken breast. So what we're going to do first is season it. I like the old-fashioned poultry seasoning. Gives it a little flavor and a little come back to Thanksgiving. So we're going to dust it a little bit.
What size are these? 4 ounces, 8 ounces?
These are roughly around 8 ounces a piece.
Okay.
So you probably have, 4 to 5 portions here. I'm doing it for demo purposes, but if you're 2 people, you can have the 2. But what's good about it, usually a family get-together is 4 to 6 to 8. You can buy 1 or more or 2, but you don't have to do the whole turkey. You don't have to have all the leftovers and such. I like it because it's quick and easy, and again, we're going to see in 20 minutes you're going to have roast turkey, which is very difficult to do with the large turkeys. So I put a little bit of poultry seasoning in it. We're going to season it with just plain old salt and pepper. I like the fresh grind because it always tastes better. Pepper is always better when you fresh grind it. And of course, we got a little bit of sea salt, which we like, nice and fresh. So what we're going to do is just put a little bit of olive oil in a pan. Don't put too much, you don't need it. Now the key here is, because they're small pieces, you want to get brown. And if you don't have a hot pan, it doesn't get brown. Roast turkey, when they're huge like that, you can put them in the oven, and after 3.5 hours, it has to be brown. But this one here is going to be quick and easy. So we're going to take this and actually just put it in the pan and get it nice and brown. Now, if you don't hear the sizzle, it's not hot enough, okay? You want to make sure it's going to get nice and brown. So we're going to give it a couple minutes on each side. And then we're going to transfer it to this tray right here, and we're going to put it in the oven. In 15, 20 minutes, it's going to be ready to go. Would you like to take that away?
Yep.
So how do you tell when it's brown? You peek. You cheat a little bit. So you look, not quite yet. Not quite yet. I'm using a professional chef's saute fork, but at home, if you don't have one, you can actually use a little spatula. I like to use the holy ones because the oil tends to stay off of it and it doesn't cling to it. So we're going to take a look. Still not yet.
While we're waiting for this, let me just mention the nutritional value of having the turkey breast. The turkey breast is even better health-wise, nutritionally, than the chicken breast. Of course, it's got less saturated fat and same amount of protein as lean meat or chicken. It has the same amount of cholesterol, but it has fewer calories per serving, so it's even healthier than white chicken breast. So it's another good reason to want to use it. And it's so versatile. You can do so many different things with it. You can even put it on the grill, right? We've put it on the grill at home in the summer.
So I turned it over. You can see it's nice, slightly brown. We're going to put a little more seasoning on it. Not much, just a little. Now, if you had an oven-ready pan, you could take it right now and put it in the oven, but this is not one of them, so we're going to actually put it on a tray here, and we're going to put it in the oven. So we're going to transfer it correctly there. Our next, go ahead.
While we're waiting for the turkey, we're going to do another one of our favorites, and that's using sweet potato steak fries.
Sweet potatoes have become very popular. They're served even in fast food operations. Unfortunately, they're fried, and they really don't have to be done that way. What we're going to do today is we're going to bake ours. I love these things because they're nice and sweet. We dip them in honey and cheese a little bit, but they're very good for you. One of the things about cutting anything that's hard on a vegetable, and this is a difficult thing to do, butternut squash we love also, but they're hard and they're difficult to handle. So I'm going to give you a little hint here. When you go like this, it rolls. What's going to happen when you go to cut it? It's going to roll, you might cut yourself. These take a lot of pressure to cut, and if you do slip, you're going to really hurt yourself. So what I do is I try to find a flat spot, and if there's not one there, I make one. So I take one strip off of here, put it to the side, and it stays. So what we're going to do is cut it lengthwise. This is the easiest product you're ever going to make. So you cut it in half, you cut it in half, and you cut it in half. Now, these come in all shapes and sizes. So this one here we picked out specifically for it. So you've got 4 pieces. If you want, you can go ahead and cut it one more time. And what that does, when you do it, it gets more surface color. And because it has a lot of sugar in it, it caramelizes. So it gets nice and brown and you got that nice flavor. And that's why we like them. So we're going to cut them one more time.
Yeah, the recipe, you'll see that calls for you to peel the sweet potato. We don't peel them. I don't peel them because we like the fiber, and that just adds a little bit more texture to the sweet potato fry when you eat it.
One of the cool things we have here is basically it's an oil spray. It's one of those pumps that you use. You have to be careful. You can't use a regular spray bottle because the viscosity of the oil won't go through. This is a special bottle that's required for oil, and you have to pump it a little bit. So what we do is just spray it on there, and it doesn't require a whole lot of oil. You can't do that if you try to spray it on, manually put it on there. So we're going to put it on here. This is a non-stick pan, but you don't really need it. We're going to put just a tad bit of salt. We're going to go ahead and pump it up again. So we're going to spray it again. And it's ready to go. You can put almost any kind of seasoning on here. Savory and sweet goes good. We do salt. Sometimes we, like I said, dip it in honey when we're done, but it's a nice product. So we're going to go put this in the oven.
Again, that only takes about 15 to 20 minutes before they're ready. You can test them to be ready with a fork test, right? If the fork goes in and out easy enough, then they'll be ready to
They
eat.
test just like a regular potato does.
Yeah.
So.
And again, the nutritional value for sweet potatoes is just excellent. It's got 438% of your vitamin A that you need for one day. So no fat, no cholesterol that you have to worry about, but just lots of goodness and vitamins and minerals. Some people will ask, what's the difference between a sweet potato and a yam? Technically, there is a difference. Yams usually come from Africa or from the Caribbean. In the United States, we only get sweet potatoes, but we use the terms interchangeably. You can get them different colors. The skin, the flesh can all be different colors. It doesn't impact the nutritional value that much, but the more orange the flesh, the sweeter the potato. That's kind of hard to do when you're in the grocery store, but when you open it up, you can tell the sweetness by how orange the flesh is going to be. So what's next?
We're going to do medallions of turkey breast. Basically, turkey breasts have the same consistency as chicken as far as firmness goes, so really you use them the same way. The difference is these are a little bit larger, so what we're going to do is cut them on the bias and flatten them. And this can be done with chicken breasts, even with meat. It's a classic way of doing it with veal. What we've done is to save yourself from all the splatter, because when you hit the meat, it flattens out, but it tends to splatter a little bit. So what we've done, we've taken just some heavy-duty gallon plastic bags, and so what we do is we're going to put the meat inside there and flatten them out that way there so we don't get a mess. You can do this with chicken, again, any other piece of meat that you want to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our tenderloin, and I'm going to cut it on the bias a little bit, only because I want a nice medallion. It's fairly easy to do. And then we're going to take this, put it inside here. Now, the trick to flattening these medallions is not to go crazy, because when you hit it too hard, it goes everywhere and you'll punch a hole in it. You can use this side or this side. I like the flat side. And you gently tap it.
And what is an alternative if you don't have a meat pounder? Not everybody's going to have one of those at home.
You know, I've used wine bottles, and if you don't have a wine bottle, and you should have one, by the way, because wine we're going to use to be cooking with this, is a regular pan, little saute pan like this. You can do the bottom and hit it, just make sure it's cold. Or any kind of flat surface thing that you have, it works real well. But I recommend buying one of these because you can use it for a lot of different things.
And you're using the flat end and not the,
Right.
because that would tenderize the meat, and you don't need to do that.
Well, it'll put holes in it.
This is true.
This is pretty, so we don't want to make it unpretty. So you can make this as thin or as thick as you want. It just depends, but I think this is about right. We do like to have a little bite to the product itself. So now, what we do here is a little salt and pepper. Seasoning is very important. And again, neatness counts here, because when you're at home, you don't want to make a mess. Everybody loves to cook, you know. Nobody likes to clean up. So a little salt and pepper on there, not crazy. And then what we have is whole wheat flour. And again, that adds to the nutritionals.
However, you don't actually have to have, I would not go out and buy a 5-pound bag of whole wheat flour to do this. You only need about 1/4 cup, and so the nutritional contribution to the recipe isn't that great. White flour would work just as well.
You notice I took the pan off because it's a little too hot, which is okay. You just take it off for a little bit, cool. And it cools very quickly, so it's not something you have to wait all day with. So this is a process that we're going to call a sautéing. And in the culinary world, sautéing is a small amount of oil or fat, and you're going to try to brown the product. Browning the product is a term called caramelization, and that's what gives you your flavor. Same thing with the roast turkey. We had that on there, and it's going to, as you can see, it's going to taste really well. A lot of folks, they eat turkey because they want that brown skin, which is not good for you, but this is going to have brown meat, which is going to be a lot better for you. So we took it off a little bit. So we're going to take this into the flour. If you don't have one of these forks, buy a little tong. It's really kind of cool. So you want to dust this really well, because everything that gets on there, oh, you see that? Nice, huh? You hear the sizzle? If it doesn't sizzle, it's not hot enough. Now the flour is going to do a couple things. One, it's going to hold in the moisture and stuff, but it's also, you're going to make your own sauce. One of the downfalls of roast turkeys is what? The gravy. Not so good for you, right? A lot of fat kind of things. This really has a little bit of olive oil in it, but there's no real skin or pieces of outer fat or anything, because this tenderloin is very lean. So what's going to happen is you're going to be able to make a sauce out of it, and it won't be that bad for you. So we're going to move it around here a little bit. Now, in accompaniment with that, what we have here is some natural chicken stock. We actually happen to make that, but you can buy the low sodium kind, very convenient. We have some vermouth. You can actually substitute white wine with that. Generally speaking, it's always a dry white wine. Don't try to get a sweet one. It doesn't really go with that too much. And then we have lemon juice we're going to make out of a lemon, and we're also going to put some zest in there. here's a little handy dandy tool. Is basically we use it for zesters. And what we do is we actually just take this and scrape it, and it falls right in. And it can be used for a lot of different things, but this one here is really, really neat. So I'm going to leave that there. So this is very quick, nice and brown. See how that flour mixes with a little bit of oil? And that's going to be called a pan roux. And roux is a term that they use in French, which is fat and flour, and it uses to thicken. In this instance, you're going to get the flavor from the turkey in there, mixing in with it, so you're going to get some good notes, flavor notes. So it's browned on both sides. We don't cook it too long because turkey's dry. It has no intermuscular fat, which means beef is kind of marbled and it has a lot of fat in it. That's kind of why it's bad for us. Turkey has none. Poultry doesn't have any either. So we don't cook it too much because we don't want it to get dry and not tasty and tough. So here's a little bit of vermouth. This will flame, so be careful. I try not to make flames because the fire department doesn't like them. So if you notice, and you can look in there, see how it's thickening a little bit? Now, a lot of people say, oh, I don't like alcohol and this. And well, what happens is when you put vermouth or wine or any alcohol, it burns out. So basically what you have here is just the flavor. And there's a little bit of citrus in there and such. So I'm going to put a little bit of chicken stock. One of the things I wanted to show you was this is basil, and it calls for chopped basil. What we're going to do is like a little chiffonade, which is another French fancy term for little tiny pieces. So we're going to take this, and this is fresh basil. Basil, when it's fresh like this, has a very nice aroma. It smells a little bit like licorice. So as you can see, it's reducing a little bit. And you see how it's thickening up a little? That's your pan sauce that's in there. Now, at this point, we're going to put a little lemon juice. I always like fresh lemons. Don't buy the stuff in a jar. It's not good. Always look for the seeds, obviously. But you can do it through your hand like that if you have seeds in there, just a little bit. And then it calls for the rind. The great thing about the rind is it doesn't have any citrus. You got a little bit in there, which you need for the flavor, but the rind gives you a good lemon note, but it doesn't really add too much acid to it. Always try to pick fruit that you use rind that are clean and nice and pretty on the outside, and of course always thoroughly wash it. But this does a nice job. They actually call this a microplane. There's a version of that the carpenters use. That's where it came from. So if you can see now, the sauce is really nice in there. We're going to put a little bit of butter, not a lot, obviously. In French, they call it beurre monté, which means you take fresh butter and you put it in there. And what it does is it gives you a nice finish on your palate. So don't put melted butter, but nice fresh, just a little. And what we're going to do is just melt that butter in there. Just a little bit, and we're ready to go. Now, normally, the French and the cooks would tell you to taste it. We seasoned it properly, and the stock was seasoned, so I kind of know it's good. But if you're at home and you're not really sure, always taste everything before you serve it. So that's ready to go. So let's have a plate. Oh, I could smell that nice wine in there and it's lemon.
What's nice about this dish is that it looks elegant and it looks like something you'd want to serve company, but it didn't take but 10 minutes to do. You can actually pound out the chicken and flour the turkey beforehand, and so when the company comes, then you can just cook it off. It doesn't take but a few minutes.
I wish we had aroma vision because you can smell that really nice and stuff. There we go.
Okay. And this is the finished product. Okay, thank you. And we have one more thing that we wanted to do with the turkey.
So what we're going to do is we're going to make burgers. And turkey burgers have been around for a while. They have been probably misinterpreted. And what I mean by that is they've been labeled too healthy and such. These burgers here that we have are made from all white meat. Some of the items that you buy in the market are a mixture of dark meat, which is thigh meat, or sometimes it's all thigh meat. As Barb will say, there's a lot of fat in there and higher cholesterol, so you want to look for meat that is all white meat. And if they don't have it, the butcher will cut it up for you. Just pick it out of the case and bring it to him, and he'll grind it up for you. So the key with turkey burgers, like anything else, turkey is poultry, so you have to cook it well done. Can't be a medium rare. So you're going to have to be careful with it. So you're going to season it up real well. Other than the obvious salt and pepper, I like to put as much of different things in there as possible. One of them is garlic salt. So this is another form of the grinders, which is nice and fresh. So there's some big chunks of nice dry garlic in that. So we're going to put some of that on there.
This is about a 3-ounce portion size,
Correct.
right? One of the things that becomes important with healthy eating is your portion sizes. Many people would have 2 of these, your double burgers. So we were looking at just one burger. This is about 3 to 4 ounces, and you know the tool you have to judge your portion size is the palm of your hand or a deck of cards. A deck of cards is the right thickness. This is a little bit thinner than a deck of cards, so it's a little bit broader than the palm of your hand, but that's just a good tool. When you see big burgers that are 8 ounces, you know that's a little bit bigger than the palm of your hand.
So again, one of the things about turkey is just like the roast is you want to make sure they're brown. So we're getting the pan a little hot. Hear the sizzle.
Again, this is another great item to do on the grill in the summer.
So while we're waiting for that, I want to show you one of our favorites is caramelized onions. And a lot of folks don't really know how to make them. So I want to show you a little quick. This is a purple onion. I like purple because it's sweeter. The white ones are okay. These cost a little bit more, but we like them because they're sweeter. What you do is you peel it and cut it in half, and there's a knob on the end. And that knob you can't eat. So when you're going to do caramelized onions, you want to take that off. And if you notice, it's like meat. It has grains going in one side. So if you cut it the right way, it comes apart on its own. So what we do is we go like this, and like this, and then this way. And what happens, it falls apart. So all the nice onions come apart, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of time with it. So when you get down to this end, you turn it over. Any piece like that you can put to the side. So you take these pieces here. And they go into the pan. Now, the difference between this and the other ones, you started off with a pretty slow pan because you want to cook the onions first, get them soft, and then when they're soft, you go ahead and turn up the heat and they'll brown for you nicely. We're going to do some handy dandy spray oil. Pretty quick, huh? One other little trick that we have is this is a regular spray bottle. You can find them almost anywhere. This is full of balsamic vinegar. One of the challenges when you're using vinegar or anything that's liquid is to try to coat everything that you're going to eat. This is a great spray bottle for lettuces, tomato, whatever that you want to have. But in addition, it's also good for anything like here. So when we flip this, the burgers over, we're going to spray them with this, and we get a nice little coating. And again, it's going to brown nice and easy, get nice caramelization and stuff. And it's really a good product to do that with. So while this is cooking, we're going to do one more item, right? Which is the broccoli slaw. You want to get that for me? Almost to the T, When you say broccoli slaw, everybody kind of, ooh, kind of thing. Well, I'll tell you, we made this several times, and it's a very good dish. You can buy the slaw itself in the supermarket in a bag. Be careful when you look at it, make sure it's fresh. Or you can shred it yourself out of a stalk of broccoli. Normally when you buy the broccoli heads, there's a stem on it, and nobody likes to eat the stem, so what you can do is shred that up and do that. But if you do buy it in a bag, make sure it's fresh, okay? So what we have here is a little bit of vinegar. I like to use a flavored vinegar, so apple cider vinegar or champagne vinegar or whatever. So we're going to put a little bit of that in there. What we have here is low-fat sour cream. We're going to mix that up. Let's see if we have
You want a whisk?
the whip. Yes. So we're going to mix that up. Make sure you get all the lumps out of it. And if it's not quite enough, you put a little more. For some reason or other, we love creamy items, right? Ranch dressing, mayonnaise, right? This is kind of an alternative to that. It gives you the mouthfeel a little bit. So we're going to do a little salt and pepper. This recipe calls for cranberries that have been soaked in hot water and plumped up so they're soft, which really makes this dish really good because it's nice, sweet, and the cranberries are very tart and they give it a good punch. And that's what, generally speaking, when you have this broccoli slaw, you don't have that. So we're going to put that in there. A little bit of scallions, give you that onion note. And then we have some toasted almonds. There's a couple ways you can toast almonds. One is right in a pan like this, which I like to do because I can pay attention, or you can stick it in the oven. The problem with the oven one is you forget about it, this and that, and they burn, and oh my God. Plus you have to turn an oven on. This way here, you can watch it on the stove, and it's easier to turn the stove on than it is an oven. So check out these burgers. Look at that, nice, huh? Nice and brown. That's where your flavor is going to be. Now, I'm going to get a little fancy with this. See how that coats it really nice? Later in the demo, we have some grilled vegetables that go on there, or a choice of, and really gives you good flavor. These onions are looking nice, huh? Nice and brown. So we added toasted almonds. When you toast almonds, what it does is it brings out the oils and it gives it a nice, fresh, nutty flavor. Most nuts are full of oils, and sometimes we freeze them to preserve them. And when you put them back in the oven or toast them on a stove, it brings back that flavor, which is very important.
And again, we're adding nuts because of the nutritional value. Nuts, studies are showing, especially with the DASH diet, dietary approaches to stopping hypertension, that just even a handful of nuts a day can help control hypertension, and they're showing that it also helps control cholesterol. So not a lot of nuts, but just a few to increase that nutritional value. See, the goal here is to increase that nutritional value no matter what it is that you're cooking.
So this is our coleslaw here. I call it coleslaw, but it's broccoli slaw actually. It's got your nice sweet tartness to it. It's got a little bit of salt. It's got your vinegar in there and your sour cream.
And it's got then the shredded broccoli.
Right.
You added carrots.
Carrots.
And the cranberries.
Right.
Right, just loaded with vitamin C and vitamin A.
Chock full of good things.
Yeah.
And when you taste it, you're going to see it's really good. So we're going to assemble all our products now. See the nice brown onion? Okay, so we're going to do I took the liberty to do a little bit of green beans, and these are basically, they call them haricots verts, which are small, and we put them in there in hot water. Some people put salt in it, I don't, because we eat enough of salt already, and they only take but a minute to cook, so we're going to have them on there. So the first thing we're going to do here is plate our roast turkey. So that's about done. So we're going to take this off. Turkey breast and all chicken, poultry breasts do have a way to cut. So you always want to go against the grain because the grain runs this way. So it's always lengthwise. If you don't have gloves at home, you can use a pair of tongs, obviously. A little bit on the bias so you get a little color, right? I took the liberty of making a special cranberry relish. So I took some of those dried cranberry that went into the slaw, and I also took some dried apricots. So it's a little bit different. So it doesn't have to be the traditional Thanksgiving. So you can put that with that.
It smells good. You can smell the apricots.
Yes. Yeah. We also, this is, I call hidden goodness. What we did was we took mashed potatoes and we pureed some cooked cauliflower and mixed it in. Put about only 1/3. Most people can't notice the difference. You have to have a really good palate to really tell the difference. And basically it's hidden in there, and some folks don't like cauliflower, but it's good for you, so we put that in there. So you have a nice full dinner. Quick, 15, 20 minutes, and you don't have to wait till Thanksgiving for that product.
Green beans are for the cutlet,
What's that?
for the
Yep.
medallions.
Right there. So we put a little green beans on there. Nice looking plate, a lot of green to it, jumps out at you. You could also serve the mashed potatoes if you wanted to, type of scenario. So now we're going to do the slaw. So if you could get the lettuce out of there.
Yep.
So what we do is we just artfully arrange this here like so. A little bit of slaw on there. And then our favorite, sweet potatoes, nice and brown. The browner the better almost, because that's where the caramelization is and the real flavor takes place. And feel free to eat the whole potato or half the potato because it's good for you. And if you don't put any additional sugar or anything, it's great for you. We have a variety of toppings over there, and Barb's going to talk a little bit about them. So let's manja.
This is great. Thank you. We had some taste testers with us today to taste some of these things, just to let you hear what they think of them. So I'll take the turkey burger first. We have a couple of toppings that you can choose from. We have portobello mushroom that we can cut up, caramelized onions, or grilled peppers. But let me just cut this for you. Check my gloves. Do you have some tongs? Okay. Nice and hot. We typically don't put ketchup on this, okay? You could, but that, okay. And let's see if we have a tongs and I can,
Here you go.
thank you. We can do a sweet potato. Sweet potato fry and a little bit of the broccoli slaw. Okay. Does it smell good?
Yes.
That's delicious.
Does it smell good? Okay. Why don't you try that, and we'll cut up a little bit of the medallion for you. Do you want to try a topping? Are you okay?
I'm good.
You good?
Try the red, please.
Okay. How's that? Okay.
It's really good.
Are you surprised?
This is delicious.
Okay, the coleslaw, great.
Delicious.
Yeah, oh good, you can hear all the ums and the ahs. Thank you, thank you for trying. Are they different? Have you tried them before?
No.
No, great. And let me just take a minute to introduce who you are. Can you just tell us who you are? You all work at the Eastern Campus, and you are,
Mary Sally Bliss.
okay?
Evelyn Anderson.
Corey Molnar.
Great, thank you. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us today to taste the food. And thank you to Chef Andy. You did a great job of showing us how to use turkey in a variety of different ways. Simple and easy recipes, and again, increasing that nutritional value in what we eat. Thank you very much. The recipes will be online, probably soon with the nutritional content. Again, the recipes are there. You can modify them and make them work for you. Once again, thank you for all those who participated.